Welcome to our channel. Hi there, my name is Ranjan. I am a full stack DevOps engineer with 11.5 years of experience working in IT. I am also a 4.5 star rated Udemy instructor teaching more than 72,000 students worldwide. On this channel, my goal is to make you learn and grow by sharing my experience. So if you like my work, then do like this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe this channel for more such awesome videos in future. So let's get started. Thank you. So let's talk about the Java Datetime API. So let's go ahead and write some notes here. Java Datetime API. It's Java 8 Datetime API. So until Java 7, in Java 7, we had date, we had calendar, we had timestamp, but they were not efficient. So in Java 8, a new date time API was introduced in a new package called Java.time. New datetime API introduced. New date. There was a new datetime API introduced, which is also called as Time API, and it was introduced in a new package called Time API, Java.time. It was introduced in a new package called Java.time. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create a package. Datetime API. This is not a class, but let's create a package. And let's go ahead and start creating some examples to explore the new datetime API. So before we go ahead and create something in Java 8, let me also update this. The Java 7 date and calendar timestamp was present in java.util package. Okay, now let's go ahead and write our first program in Java 8 to explore about the new datetime API. So I will say datetime API example, let's say 1. So in here, we'll go ahead and write public static void main string array. And now what I want is I want to see what is the date today and what is the time now. So for that we have something called local date. And if you see it gets it from the java.time. So I will say local date is equal to date is equal to local date dot now. So if I say system.out.println, and just print it. And if I run it now, so I see it's today's date. Similarly, if I want to know today's the current time now, so local time is equal to local time dot now. And if I try to print the local time, let's run it. So I got the local time as well. So now let's say I want the date, month, and get day, month, and year this way. So what I can do is system.out.println. I can say date dot get day of the month. I can print it this way. Similarly, I can say other things. Get month value, and I can say get year value. So if I print now, I will see the same values again. See, this is now broken down into these values. I can also do the same thing in one line. Local date time is equal to local date time dot now. If I say system dot out dot println date time together, if I run it, we get everything together, date and time together. So it's up to us how we want to get it. So the new Java 8, the Java.time package has provided us a lot of flexibility to manipulate with date and time. Okay, let's say we got the data here. Similarly, if we wanted to get the time, hour, minute, and second, how we could have got that? So let's say get hour, minute, second. How can we get that? So let's print it. Let's try to copy the system out statement from here. So system out, sorry, it is like this. Okay, so now uh, if I want to get the hour, so I will say time dot get hour. If I want to get the minute, so I will say time object dot get minute. If I want to get the second, so I will say time dot get second. And for nanoseconds, I will say time dot get nano. And if I run it now, I will get the result broken down into these values will be broken down now. So if you see the hour is hour and minutes is this, seconds and the nanoseconds. So this is how you can also get the individual components of time as well. So similarly here also we can with the date time object as well, we can get all the information that we got at above. So I can say get day of the month, get hour, get minute, get month value, get nano, get second, get year, everything I can get with the same this object. Okay, now let's do another example where I want another date. So I will say local date time and new, or let's say I will say future date time. Here I would say location local date time dot off, and here I get a lot of functions. So here it gives me I can create a new local date object and local time object separately and pass. I can directly pass year, month, date with time, year, month, day, and time with hours, minutes, seconds, nanoseconds. All these functions are there. So similarly, month I can pass directly as, let's say for August, I can pass 08, or I can say month dot August. There are different options available. So let's try to create a future date. So let's say I will say 2021, which is the year, and then month I will say 9, and then I will say as date would be 20th, and time would be, let's say, 9 and 30. So if we see here, it's prompting us, and if I want, I can give a second as well. So I will say 22, and if I try to print it now, system.out.println, I will get another future date. So I can run it. So this is the future date. It is September, and then uh, 20th September, and it's 9:30 in the morning. This is was the date, new date created. For the month here, as I mentioned, I can also, instead of giving 9, I can say month. I can use the in a month dot, let's say December. So if I run this now, it will be same. So I will get 12 here. So like this, you can create two different dates of future, past, and then or current date, which is by now. And you can also do a date operation. You can deduct the year from the year, month from the month, day from the day, and time, hours, minutes, second from themselves. And you can do some mathematical calculation as well. So this is quite easy now with the Java Datetime API, which was not the case in Java 7. It was a little bit tricky. Let's further explore the Datetime API. So for that, I will create another class like this, and I will just copy the main method declaration. And now let's say I want my requirement is such that I want to, let me first create this. So let me first print it out, and then I will tell you what I want to get out of it. So if I print this local date time, it will go ahead and print our current date time because we have used the now. And if we wanted the future, then we know how to do that. Let's say I want to know system.out.println, or I will just copy paste this. I want to say date after, let's say, 20 days. What will be the date? So for that, I will say date time dot plus, I will say days, and then I will just say 20. If I want to set after 22 days, I will just say here 22. So if I run it now, it will tell us what will be the date after 22 days. So I've used local date time, so it will give us, uh, so after 22 days, it will be 30th. It will be 30th. If because it is also, it's printing the time because we use date time. If you would have created just an object of local date like this, but now Then you could have also done the date dot plus days, and then 22 would have given you a day after 22 days. Similarly, if you want a date uh, date after, let's say, few months, so you could pass after 2 months, and date after, let's say, few years, so you can say plus years, and then you can say 3, what will be the day after 3. So if I want to print them, let me quickly print them. So this is going to print us output, which will be like after some. So I will copy this, paste here, paste here, and paste here. So date after this, and then date after 2 months, and date after 3 years. So if I run it now, we'll see different values. So if you see now, it doesn't print time, it just prints the date. So after 22 days, this will be the date. After 2 months, this will be the date. And after 3 years, this will be the date. And if I want to also now want to say before, what will be the before value? So let's copy this, and I will say date before, maybe 10 days. What was the date before 10 days? Date before 2 years, 2 months, and any random value you can give, that's okay. So 2, and then like this. So if I run it now, so you'll see the dates before. So before 10 days, it was, sorry, we did not use the proper method here. It should not be plus, it should be minus days, minus days. Similarly, you can replace this with minus months, minus years. And if you run it now, so this would have been the date. So before 3 years, this would have been the date. Before say 2 months, this was the date. Before 10 days, this was the date. Similarly, you can do this operation with time. So you can also say what was the time before a few hours. So if I copy this, time before 2 hours. If I want to know that, I can say date time dot minus hours. And if I pass this 2 hours, then I will see before 2 hours the time was, it will print. Time before 2 hours was 14:53, and now it's 16:53. So this is where you can do all kinds of manipulation with the future date, past date, future time, past time, by providing different values to the already provided methods. So this is how easily you can manipulate date and time with the new Java Datetime API. Let's further explore some more examples of Datetime API. So if I now go ahead and create another class which we will use for our another example exploration, I would need the main method. So I will copy the main method and I will paste it here. Okay. Now let's say my requirement is get the total experience of an employee. Let's say in years, how many years of experience that employee has. So for that, I need to do some calculation between dates. So I know that if I do local date and I say today's date, today date, I will say local date dot now. Let's say the start date of the employee was local date start date of the employee was and let's say 2012 and then month was 07 and then day was 12 or maybe let's say 16, whatever, doesn't matter. So now if we want to get the total experience, then let's say years of experience, then we have to use another class called period. So period equal to, we'll say period dot between, and then we will pass the start date and today's date. So here start date is inclusive and today's date is today date is exclusive. It's automatically that way. Now if I want to print system dot out dot println your years of experience is, let's say, period dot get years. Let me run this and let's see the output. So here it says the years of experience is 9. So it has 9 years of experience. Let me change it as years. Okay. So 9 years of experience he has. All right. I could also print this in much better way. So let's say I want the details. So I will say, okay, paste it here. Total experience. Let me put it this way. Total experience is, and I will say percentile D years, percentile D months, percentile D days. And I can give this as comma values. So period dot get months, period dot get days. If I do this now, I have to get rid of this, of course. So now I have years, months, days, and in here, what am I missing? Comma. Let's say total. Wait, this should not be ln, it should be f. We want to format. So now if I run this, so it will show us the same output but in a much formatted way. I think there was some problem here. So we said we want to print in the formatted way. Number of years, number of months, and number of days, which is coming from years, months, and days. System.out.printf. Unformat conversion exception. Looks like there's some problem here. I think I missed a D here, and that is the problem. So if I run it now, so we get exactly this result as expected. So here it is, 0 months. So if I say here, let's say change the value here. So let's see what if the output varies. Yes, it does. So total expense is 9 years, 4 months, and 23 days. Similarly, you can take other use case as well. Let's say you have today you have exam after certain at at a date. You want to know how much time you have. So you can also do calculate these kind of things very easy. Let's look at some of the other features of Datetime API. So I will copy this and create a new class with Java Datetime example 4, and I'm also going to copy the main method signature, paste it here, and now we will talk about zone. So you might know that the world is quite spread it out, and then which means that the time which is now at a place is different from the time at another place in the different part of the world. For that, let's say I want to know which time zone I am right now. So for that, Java 8 has something called as zone ID. Let me create an object and try to find out in which zone ID I am right now. So if I try to just print it out, my zone, my time zone, let's call it that way, to see which time zone I'm belonging to now, my current time zone. Let me run it. So it's going to tell me in which time zone I am currently belonging to. So it's compiling my Java code, and it says now I am in Europe Berlin time zone. So now if I want to know the local date time here, and try to print the local date time, local date and time at my time zone, then if I print this, it is going to give me the local date and time at my time zone, at my location, at my place. But in different parts of the world, the time is different and the date could be also different. So let's say I want to know the time zone of Los Angeles. So I can create another zone. I will say zone ID of LA, and then I will say zone ID of, and I have to provide the time zone. So I will say America slash Los Angeles. Sorry, there's a typo. Angles. That's the correct spelling. And now what I can do is I want to print system.out.println time zone of LA. Time at LA. Let's call it that way. So what I will do now, I will say local date time dot now the current time, but at zone LA. I will pass the zone LA. By default, the zone is it takes the local date time. The default zone is the current default time zone. But now I have given this date time at LA. So let's run it now. Let's see the output, what we get. So if you see, the time at LA is 10:44 in the morning, and time at my location is 7:44 in the evening. So that's how we can get a different day, the date and time at a particular time zone, or let's say particular part of the world. Let's say if I want to print the whole thing, the same thing, but in one line. So I can directly use something called as zone date time dot now, and I can pass the zone ID as zone LA. This will be exactly the same output as the above. So instead of two lines like this, I can also do this way. So let's see the output. So you see this is exactly the same time. So now there are also the other ways you can pass. Let's say I create a ID, zone ID of GMT equal to zone ID dot off, and let's say I give GMT plus 05 colon 30 530, and now I can use this as well to print my output. So if I copy this and this, take this one and pass this instead of LA, so I will get the time at the GMT. You see the time at GMT GMT plus 530 is this, which is 23:19. It's actually time in India now. So this is how you can also pass different data and see all the different values of it by passing GMT and other stuff. Let's say I want to know what is the time at the GMT 00. So I can also do this GMT 00. So here I will pass GMT 00, and this will be date time at GMT plus 05 colon 30, and this will be GMT 00. So if I pass this here, let's see what will be the output. So the time at GMT 0, the time at GMT, sorry, this one, My mistake. It should be team GMT 00, completely 00. That's what I wanted to see. So let's see what is the time now. So time at GMT 00 is 17:51. That's the time. And I can also get the GMT 00 time by another way, which is system.out.println instance dot now. So this will give exactly same output as this GMT 00, same as GMT plus 00. Let's run it. If you see this 1752, 1752. So this is exactly the same time, GMT plus 00. So you can play around with different time zones, and y- there are various scenarios where your application is running in one time zone and your consumers are at a different time zone. That's where these time zone related date time manipulation comes very handy. So this is very useful and can be easily achieved with Java 8 Datetime API.